Hello, everyone. Welcome so much for being here today. We appreciate you being here. What we have going today with 50 plus job seekers in Massachusetts, we support and assist people in the 50 plus demographic who are unemployed, underemployed, or are looking to shift careers. We provide workshops like this one to network and improve your job search activities. And we also offer sessions on available resources, current workforce topics, and employer spotlights. Our website is 50plusjobseekers.org for upcoming events, resources, and age-friendly employers. So today, we're going to be here with Marion Bernard to be talking about what hiring decision makers need to see on your resume and on LinkedIn. And she's going to be starting here in just a minute. But first, as some of you might be familiar with, I like to make sure that you're aware of events that we have coming on here with 50 plus job seekers. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, Myra Quick will be here to talk about how to work a job fair because it is that job fair season that's going on right now. On Wednesday, the 24th, Melody Beach will be at Mass Hire in Springfield to talk about protecting yourself from the growing job scams that are going on in our world. On the 29th, we'll have Kasim Deroche talking about budgeting and saving strategies during your unemployment. On October 1st, we'll be talking about branding and your career plan at the Worcester Council on Aging. We'll be talking about networking on October 6th. We'll be talking about interviewing and winning with the STAR method. That'll be online on October 7th. And we'll be doing our monthly networking workshop. That'll be on the 13th, and that'll be all online. You can find all of these events at 50plusjobseekers.org/events. So it is my pleasure to welcome Marion Bernard. Her website is at resumeexpert.ca. And why is it a .ca? Well, Marion lives in Aurora, Canada, which is about 30 miles north of Toronto. So since 1985, when she was obviously in, elementary school, Marion Bernard, the Regency Group's president and CEO, has helped her job-seeking clientele project the confidence they need to shorten their job search. What distinguishes Marion from her colleagues is that she operates Canada's only while you wait resume writing service. She has clients all across 10 Canadian provinces, the Northwest Territories, the Yukon, Nunavut. I
Oh,
hope
I'll
I
help
said
you.
that.
None of it. Yeah.
Nunavut. Okay, thanks, Marion. 48 American states, Mexico, the USA, the UAE, the EU, Australia, New Zealand, and more. They all revel in her historically producing standout job search documents in under 3 hours. Okay. So over the years, she's been certified in a number of areas. She's Canada's first certified job search strategist. She knows how to tap into the hidden job market. She is Ontario's first certified professional resume writer. There are 24 altogether in Canada. She is one of two certified employment interview professionals in Canada, and she is Canada's second nationally certified online profile expert. Unleashing the power of LinkedIn is what she talks about. So, in her spare time, Marion enjoys cooking. She loves to dance. She attends Zumba classes, and that helped her to lose a whole lot of weight, 52.2 pounds in 53 weeks. And she has, as I have tested a couple of times, her encyclopedic knowledge of top 40 music from the mid 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even into the 2000s. So she's been living in Aurora since 1981. Marion is a proud pet parent to Oreo, a nearly 3-year-old retriever black lab blue heel mix who's a rescue dog and is occasionally very well behaved. Well, I would say that he's really well behaved, Marion. Come on. He's guaranteed to put into an appearance during the presentation, and maybe he's still laying back there, I think, isn't he?
He's
So
behind me
you'll
right
get to
now.
see him. So from resumeexpert.ca, I am now going to stop sharing and send this over to Marion Bernard. Thank you so much for being here today, Marion.
Oh, thank you for the glowing introduction. And let me point out, I had graduated from school for quite some time before I launched my business. I'm a baby boomer. I'm proud of it. And I actually celebrate a birthday with a zero in about 2 months or so. And I know I don't look it. But anyway, what I'd like to, first of all, let me thank you all for attending this morning's presentation. Uh, as as you alluded to, I'm actually about 30-minute drive north of Toronto, and currently we have some thunderstorms rolling through. And my dog, who is normally very mellow when it comes to thunderstorms, he did react a bit before this presentation started. So you might see him, and you might see me comforting him. But anyway, what I'd like to do is I would like to share my screen with you, and give me just a few seconds because I'm using a relatively new monitor, and some of the items are, let me see what I can find here. I'm finding everything. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share with you what you would consider to be a stereotypical resume. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, right off the top, you see my name. And back in the day, you would list your address, city. Well, in my neck of the woods, province and postal code. In your neck of the woods, it would be state and zip code, my phone number, and my email address. And I will, let me mention very briefly, these days, you don't list your street address on the resume anymore. There are three reasons for that. The first one being some hiring decision makers might get tempted to conduct a Google satellite search on your neighborhood. And in my case, I tend to live in classic suburbia. It just so happens that my two neighbors side by side have swimming pools. And I had somebody, when they saw my resume, I found out they had Googled my address, and they said, "Oh, Marion, I see your neighbors side by side have swimming pools. You must be rich." I didn't say this to the individual, but my immediate reaction was that, that's none of your business, quite honestly. What I did say to him was, "I wish," and we just moved on with the conversation. So I don't want people making judgments with regard to where I live. These days also, and I'll explain this in just a few seconds when I show you my current resume, the one that's a bit more visually enhanced. I'm sure that the individual who's going to be talking about scams will mention this, but let me mention to you, these days, in the past 6 months or so, there's been a huge spike in scam activity, and some scammers are willing to, if they can get a hold of your street address, they might be emboldened to try and find out your bank account information, your social security number, that sort of thing. So any job seeker who willingly gives that information over, sad to say, could be setting themselves up for some identity theft and somebody draining the monies in their bank accounts. So that's another mention here. Now, I will continue, if I may. The old school way of doing a resume, and you're seeing my old school resume, is to either list an objective statement or jump right into the summary of qualifications. You don't list an objective statement on the resume anymore. And typical objective statements that I see will say something along the lines of, to allow me to secure a position that will let me use my skills, my abilities, that sort of thing. And realistically speaking, that tells the hiring decision maker nothing. The days are gone when you're competing against local candidates and maybe statewide and a little bit beyond. These days, you could also be competing against individuals from across the entire Eastern Seaboard, the Central Time Zone, even my neck of the woods in the Greater Toronto Area and beyond. So as a result, hiring decision makers will tell you, Whereas they used to receive half a dozen resumes per day per job because it was a foregone conclusion back then you were competing against only local candidates. Now factor in the vast geographic expanse. And hiring decision makers will now tell you that they could potentially receive hundreds of resumes per day per job. You figure that if your workload suddenly jumped up from processing half a dozen units a day to potentially hundreds of units per day, you would look for ways to streamline. And that's exactly what the hiring decision makers have done. They need to know in 7 seconds or less, A, the actual job title that you'd like to apply for, because regretfully, the days are gone when hiring decision makers are going to guess what if they're wrong. And B, they want to know what positively sets you apart from the rest of the pack. If hiring decision makers can't locate those two pieces of information, or if the information that they are presented with is underrepresenting you, then regretfully, a resume that I've just described is guaranteed to wind up in the no pile. And I have intentionally, for this session, underrepresented by qualifications, things like solid interpersonal communication, customer service skills, so on and so on, that sort of thing. I joke around, especially in the summary, and I've seen it referred to as profile, overview, tomato. The mindset, I joke around that every organization on planet Earth, be it for-profit, not-for-profit, government, academia, you name it, they all listen to that American radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me, your next employer? If I was a hiring decision maker, there would have to be compelling information in the section that I've just highlighted to get me to linger longer than the typical 7 seconds. Now, I'll move on to the professional experience. And what you're seeing here is a classic, albeit obsolete, duties and responsibilities approach, where what I've done here is I'm just showing you a summary of what crosses my path day to day, that sort of thing. And I'll move on. My education, this is for this resume, it's a little bit more robust. I'm a little bit of an education junkie when it comes to the career sector. So I talk here about some of the courses, workshops, seminars that I've completed. I also, just like an accountant might be able to list CA or CPA after their name, I have a few designations that I'm proud to have earned, that sort of thing. And my full-time studies, I originally attended my alma mater and earned a diploma as an executive assistant. And yes, I'm Canadian. I spelled honors the Canadian way, but I do know how to spell American. So just letting you know, sorry about that. The professional organizations that I belong to. And a lot of people think, well, I have to have a one-page resume. Otherwise, the hiring decision makers won't pay attention to me. Realistically, you don't have a one-page resume. I'm going to show you the resume that I would go with these days. And I'm happy to, I'm noticing that the chat is starting to fill up. And I'm happy to address some of that. Let's do this one more time. It would help if I can see what I'm doing here. Where is the share? Give me just a second here. I'm just trying to find what I am looking for.
Yeah, it might be under more, Marion. Yeah, most of the chat stuff that has come on is people putting in their LinkedIn profile and that type of thing. And I'm putting in some information in there too. So
got it. Okay. Let me show you, if I may. Let me find it here. Here we go. This is the resume that I would submit today. And can everybody see my screen?
See it, yes.
Okay. Now, I call this my visually enhanced resume, because what I showed you before in the careers community, we refer to that as a zebra resume, black and white. And these days you can certainly weave in a pop of color. And I kept mine very conservative, blue, that sort of thing. Now, my name And these are the designations that I've earned. CPRW is Certified Professional Resume Writer. CEIP is Certified Employment Interview Professional. CJSS, Certified Job Search Strategist. In other words, I know how to tap into the hidden job market. And the NCOPE, Nationally Certified Online Profile Expert. What that means is that I know how to strategically write a LinkedIn profile. And let me mention that if you do have any designations, you want to put them on their separate line, because the applicant tracking system, which I'll go into in greater detail, if you put everything on the same line as your name, it's going to gum up the way the applicant tracking system processes things. Now, as far as the address goes, I live, as was mentioned before, I live in the town of Aurora, which is part of the greater Toronto area. And the other reason you don't list your street address is that applicant tracking systems, and there are over 400 of them out there, oh joy, a lot of them have the power to filter out, do you live too far away, that sort of thing. And if I was looking for a job in Toronto, the fact that I've listed part of the greater Toronto area, the fact that I've mentioned it in there, I would get screened for Toronto, because there's a mindset in the greater Toronto area that I supposedly live in hinterland. No, I don't. So, but this is what I've done there. You can list your zip code. I've listed my postal code here, my phone number, my email address. And because I would be looking for resume writer opportunities, hypothetically going forward, I decided to kind of play up my street cred, where I say view 65 plus client testimonials along with 10 LinkedIn recommendations. Let me mention that if a lot of times when I'm evaluating somebody's resume, they will put in their LinkedIn profile. And I tell clients I'm happy to do so once you've got 3 or more recommendations on your LinkedIn profile. And one of the ways that you could fatten up your recommendations section is to go to your connections and say, I'd be happy to write a LinkedIn, a recommendation for you if you write one for me. And once you've hit the magic 3 number, then you have the license to include your LinkedIn profile on your resume. Now, in place of the objective statement, you need to list the actual job titles you'd like to apply for. Senior level professional resume writer. I launched my business in 1985, so I think I have the right to call myself senior level. And then I've listed some of the services that I offer: resume crafting, interview coaching, so on and so on. Now, here is my summary. And when I write a summary, my philosophy is tell the truth, make it shine, generate a wow, I'm impressed response, and stay away from any eye-rolling cliches like results-driven team player. I mean, I shudder when I say that, because that is beyond cliche. I do say that I'm a 2-time Career Professionals Canada Award of Excellence winner and multiple nominee, so on and so on. So again, street cred here. And Career Professionals of Canada is one of 5 professional resume writing associations I belong to. And give me just a second here. And I talk about the fact, give me just a second, because my screen is cutting off bits and pieces of my resume. Now, why, somebody might think, well, the fact that I have a keyboarding speed of 127 words a minute, that sounds very lofty, but how is that going to help me, the intended audience? And if I was to apply for a job to join somebody's resume writing team, the benefit to them, what's in it for them, is I can complete client assignments weeks ahead of standard industry turnaround times. I'm also proud of the fact that my work has appeared in these 4 books. So again, a little bit more street cred that I'm eminently qualified to, write somebody's resume independently or as part of their team. And where I can, I will list, if, for example, if you've been interviewed by a YouTube influencer, hypothetically, you are more than welcome to pop in that URL in the feed here. I checked, even though I delivered this interview with VOCM, Province of Newfoundland radio station back in, I think it was 2021 or 2022. I checked that link as of about an hour ago and it's still valid. So just letting you know. And let me see here. As I alluded to earlier, I'm very much involved in keeping current on anything in the resume writing and careers community space. I've attended 5 virtual industry conferences, plus 7 in-person conferences, 1 in Toronto. I mean, that's a relatively easy commute for me. I've been to St. Petersburg, Florida twice, Vegas, Orlando, that sort of thing. And what I do is I take that information, do my best to absorb it. And this way, I can provide my clients with the information they need to better increase their chances of succeeding in their job search. Now, one thing I was alluding to the applicant tracking system earlier. The applicant tracking system is also going to evaluate the formatting and the styling of the resume. Now, some of my professional resume writing buddies are artists when it comes to weaving in such elements as graphs, charts, columns, tables, headers, footers, things like that. Done properly, they can make a resume really pop, visually speaking. Done improperly, though, it could stall the applicant tracking system so it doesn't advance your resume. Now, in this case, because the resume writing profession is very much a niche or niche market, depending on where you are, I elected to list keywords and key phrases in the heading here. Now, I can typically, when clients approach me to write their resume, I've had them ask me, Marion, is it okay with you if I forward to you some eligible keywords and key phrases I'd like included? And my response is, I, Marion, do that research for you so you don't have to. And depending on the career vocation, I can uncover anywhere between 100 and 1,000 eligible keywords and key phrases. Now, nobody is going to lay claim on every single keyword and key phrase I find, but we can certainly determine what stays, what goes, what we might even need to add. I'll move on if that's okay with everybody. Okay, I will keep going. Now, the professional experience and key contributions. Now, I'm very proud of the fact my company is incorporated. It's a numbered company. And let me mention, I am taking a little bit of risk with regard to the age discrimination factor. In effect, this is what I've been doing since June of 1985. But, I will have clients ask me, do I list everything I've done? And my response is, it depends. Now, depending on what each job seeking client presents, because again, I know that age discrimination is very much alive and well, I will determine in this case, do we need to go back only 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that sort of thing. In a perfect world, I don't want to go beyond 20 years, but if somebody has something that is definitely noteworthy, if they started off at career A, down the road, they decided to make a switch over to career B and want to go back to career A, and career A was 25 years prior, I might include something in the summary where we say earlier experience includes blank number of experience at ABC company in this capacity. And I only might want to focus on achievements above and beyond things. So this way, because sad to say, hiring decision makers, their immediate term goal is to whittle out the pile from this to this, and they shouldn't discriminate based on age, but it can happen. Now, realistically speaking, the job title of senior resume writer, so on and so on, is self-explanatory. So I chose to focus on contributions that I've made. And it is, well, in the professional resume writing community, it's not so unusual anymore to have a worldwide clientele. But one thing I want to mention, I'm a home-based business. I'm speaking to you from a corner of my basement. And if somebody told me back in 1985, Marion, you would have clients from around the world, I think, no way. So, now, I also talk about how I was able to increase business activity 35% in only 2 months, repeatedly capture 33% in monthly long distance savings, so on and so on. So I've listed 7 examples of above and beyond. And one thing that I do, you'll notice that in some instances, I've bolded things in the resume writing community. And I do my best to start it off at the beginning. In the resume writing community, I'm going to give you some resume speak here. That's what's known as front loading the achievements, where we talk about here's the result I was able to deliver, and then the non-bolding is how I did it. And mechanically speaking, you want to make sure your achievements don't go beyond 3 lines. Let's see here. I'm just looking at some of the other goodies that we have here. And again, we're talking about examples of how you've been able to contribute to your employer's success. So we're weaving in that WIIFM factor. What's in it for me, your next employer? Now, you'll notice also that in a fair amount of these instances, elevated business activity 35% in only 2 months, captured 33% in monthly long distance phone savings, slashed insufficient cancellation and no-show incidences 97% in just 1 year. The one thing that those 3 particular bullets have in common is that I'm listing numbers. I'm quantifying my achievements. In other words, I'm weaving in numbers, dollars, percentages where applicable. Especially in the sales community, hiring decision makers love to see actual examples of numbers, dollars, percentages. Let me give you an example. Years and years ago, I wrote a resume for a young lady. She forwarded her existing resume to me. And as I'm working with her, I'm absorbing what she has line by line. And there was a line on her resume where she said, I did this, and this, and increased sales. And nasty me pounced on that. And I said, by how much? And her response was, And I said, it's okay to go, with me. Do it in the interview. It's the kiss of death. I have a little bit of Kevin O'Leary in me, just so you know, from Shark Tank. And the reason that her response afterwards was, well, a friend of mine told me to throw that on because it quote unquote sounded good. Sad to say, hiring decision makers, I'm going to be somewhat bluntish with my language here, their BS meter is tuned right up to the max. And the minute that they even get a hint of BS, that will be their justification to move that resume to the no pile. I can speak on all of this, so just letting you know. And because even though I do have experience prior to 85, I haven't listed it because A, the age factor, and B, I come from another career. So I'm thinking like the hiring decision maker, what is the relevant information they're looking for? Not the extra unrelated goodies, that sort of thing.
Hey, Marion?
Yes?
Yeah, can I ask you a question? And this is about formatting here. About the box that you put all of this information in, is the ATS system going to have a problem with the box?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
What the ATS system will have a problem with will be improper insertion of graphs, charts, columns, tables, headers, footers. And in this case, now, realistically speaking, I do have a header here, but it's not going to present a problem. But sometimes people will incorrectly set up a header and a footer. And I'll share one story from a client of mine. This is going back about a year or so ago. She told me she had her resume professionally prepared, and she said she sent out 50 resumes and not even a nibble. And I asked, would I be able to see your resume? She said, sure. And the first thing I noticed was that her contact information was all in the header and footer. And I said, bad idea. And here's why: because the applicant tracking system can't read inside a header or a footer. As a result, that information gets rendered invisible. So there's no way for the hiring decision makers to contact that job seeker. And I said, if that individual said they were a professional resume writer, shame on them that they don't know that. So I'll move on if that's okay.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay. And let me see here, education, professional development. And a lot of this comes from the Zebra resume that I showed you a few minutes ago. Let's see, designations, that sort of thing, professional memberships, so on and so on. So that is my resume in a nutshell. Actually, before we tackle the LinkedIn profile, could we address some of the information in the chat or the Q&A for that matter, if anybody has any questions?
Sure. Let's see. People are continuing to just put in their LinkedIn information. I put in a comment that a couple of people that I had never heard about that made a lot of sense when you were talking about the LinkedIn recommendations to have at least three on
Yes,
there. Because I could see an employer maybe looking at if you only have one recommendation. I know that, a reaction that I would have as an employer is this person can only find one person that says something nice about them, you know? I
exactly,
mean,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
And
So,
let me mention that a lot of times people will ask me, well, should I have a resume and a cover letter and a LinkedIn profile? And let me address the cover letter for a second. Industry statistics show that maybe 33% of hiring decision makers want to see the cover letter. The next 33%, if the cover letter's there, fine. If not, not the end of the world. And the remaining 34%, I'm not too shabby at math, they will bypass the cover letter and go straight to the resume. What
mhm.
they deem more important these days is your LinkedIn profile. And the more you can obtain recommendations, and it's testimonials in non-LinkedIn speak, the more robust your candidacy presents. And any other questions? Any other questions with regard to the resume?
Well, somebody did say in the chat, Marion, that your resume is a little unconventional in the sense
Oh,
that you have one big job across the entire document.
that's rather unusual these days.
Yeah, yeah. What if you had a series of titles across multiple companies? Is there still a place for chronological resumes? Oh,
Yeah.
good
Oh, let me
question.
exactly. Now, I'm going to raise two factors here. The first one is with regard to chronological resumes. The second one is with regard to how many resumes you have. Now, there are basically three types of resumes. There's chronological resume, where you list your experience, most recent, working your way back. Then there's something called the functional resume, which is skills based only and downplays the chronological aspect. And let me mention that hiring decision makers, the minute they see a functional resume, it immediately winds up in the no pile. The reason being is that job seekers discovered that they could hide things in a functional resume. The thing is, hiring decision makers got wise to that. And there is a third type of resume, which I will use periodically. It's called the combination hybrid, the mix, call it what you will. And it combines the best of the chronological with the redeeming points of the functional. Now, mine is a straight chronological resume because I'm choosing to showcase the one job I've held for 40 years and change, but I have worked other places prior. if I didn't have 40 plus years of experience, what I would sometimes do is after the summary, the way I would approach it is list the key contributions or achievements, that sort of thing, next, and group them all together, and then go with the professional experience, education, so on and so on. Now, let me mention too, you'll notice I didn't list my high school. It's understood that because I attended post-secondary, I would have had to have had high school in order to gain admittance into my alma mater. So the high school doesn't matter anymore. So just letting you know. And we don't need to list, and let me mention, you notice I didn't list the year I graduated from Seneca. But again, because of the age discrimination factor, I will tell you, and this blows my mind, I'm class of 76. So next year it'll be 50 years that I finished college. And you don't necessarily need to list, freshman of the year or anything, because in my case, it's way, way too far back that if you have more than 2 or 3 years of work experience, you would shine the spotlight on the work experience, that sort of thing. I mean, I'm not going to mention that I scored the highest typing speed within the college's history at the time. I was 91 words a minute back then, and my speed has only increased over the years. They're not going to care realistically. So we want to show the hiring decision makers enough of the information they need to pique their interest and invite you in for the interview. Now, let me also mention, a lot of times people will ask me, well, Marian, can't I have a general one-size-fits-all resume that I can use anytime, anywhere for any job alive? And my response every time somebody asks me, I will ask them, would you like me to share with you what hiring decision makers think of general one-size-fits-all resumes? The answer is always yes, by the way. And because, as I alluded to earlier, hiring decision makers, their time is at a premium. They need to know in 7 seconds or less, just to reiterate, the actual job title you'd like to apply for, along with what positively sets you apart from the rest of the pack. Now, let me mention, you are certainly allowed to have more than one resume. Now, because I've been a resume writer for 40 years and change, this resume puts the spotlight on my resume writing experience. Now, even though I've been writing resumes since seemingly the dawn of time, I originally worked for just shy of 10 years in the corporate realm. Started off as an executive secretary, got promoted to a higher level admin role, got promoted to a higher level admin role after that. And if I wanted to apply for an executive secretary, admin assistant role, that sort of thing, what I would do is I'd have a separate resume where I would say executive assistant, executive secretary, admin assistant, that sort of thing. And I would put the spotlight on my nearly 10 years of experience in that capacity, where I may have wanted to have said in my summary, I'm doing this right off the cuff, offering, oh goodness, let me think, offering, oh, hang on. I'm doing this from memory because I'm tapping into my memory banks from the late 70s and early 80s for this one. Offering 3 promotions in under 10 years at that time Canada's largest chemical company. They don't exist anymore, but anyway, again, I want to weave in that tell the truth, make it shine, generate a wow, I'm impressed factor in the summary. And I would put the spotlight on my 10 years at that chemical company, and the resume writing side would go completely behind the curtain. Now, the third resume out of 4 that I could arm myself with, back in my 20s when I had energy to spare, and you can probably tell that, the energy is wound down a little bit, not so much. While I worked full-time as an executive secretary, I worked part-time at that time, oh, they don't exist anymore, one of Canada's 3 largest department stores, originally as a retail sales associate. And then I got promoted to a retail manager. And this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who knows me. I used to sell records, 8 tracks, and cassettes because my knowledge of then top 40 music was at geek level. And if you gave me half a chance, I could probably tell you what song was #1 the week you were born. So, and most of that is off of memories. But anyway, if I wanted a job in retail, I would use a third version of my resume to say retail sales associate, retail manager. And then to make the hiring decision maker's job easier, here are some of the departments I'd want to work for. And I'm just making this up. So ladies apparel, men's apparel, cosmetics, giftware, hardware, so on and so on. And in my case, it was records, 8 tracks, and cassettes. And yes, I'm showing my age. So the fourth resume that I could arm myself with, when I first launched my business, I accepted a part-time role at the local Board of Education to teach word processing, because the word processor I originally learned on was through, in my neck of the woods, Digital Equipment of Canada, but I understand they had their head office in Massachusetts. And my knowledge was at teaching level when the local Board of Education decided to replace digital equipment with WordPerfect. My knowledge of WordPerfect was strong enough that I could teach WordPerfect. And I've been using Microsoft Word now for 30 years and change. But in effect, what I would do for the night school instructor, teaching word processing, I would spotlight my 6 years of experience working at that Board of Education and place the resume writing side, the executive assistant side, the retail side, all behind the curtain, because my goal is to make that job, the job of the hiring decision maker, easier. Any questions on the?
There's been a couple of things in the chat that that may, I don't think that they'll challenge you, but a couple of comments here that says your resume looks dense with a lot of information. I've been advised to keep my resume concise, less dense, as a recruiter will make a decision within 6 seconds, as you mentioned.
Well, for every 100 recruiters you speak to, you will get 100 different answers.
Yeah.
What I have done is, mechanically speaking, I want to make sure that the paragraphs are no more than 6 lines. So again, I'm doing the skim factor here, and you'll notice that I've bolded a few things, and I can't quite see it on my side. There we go. Where I've said history of delivering top-notch customer satisfaction, I bolded that. Leveraging 127 words per minute keyboarding speed to deliver completed client assignments weeks ahead of schedule. The reason I bold is that subconsciously, hiring decision makers don't realize this, but what they're doing in their minds, they don't know they're doing this. It's as though they're placing the letter F pattern over top of the resume they're reading. And what they're doing, the letter F, if you picture it, you'll go right across and then you kind of taper off a bit. And the reason I bold is to break them out of that letter F pattern. So I'm giving them, and this is not meant to sound conceited or narcissistic or anything like that, but to, so they grasp further the value that I offer. Give me just a second here. Let's do that here. Okay, deliver informative presentations on how job seekers can shorten their job search. So what's in it for my intended audience, that sort of thing. Also enroll in numerous professional development webinars to glean and apply newfound learnings that positively distinguish clients from their job seeking competition. So again, what's in it for my intended audience? So that's what we're looking at right there.
Okay.
Any other questions in the chat?
Yeah, there's a couple more here where somebody said, what about job fairs where you don't know the companies that are attending or the roles that they're offering? Wouldn't you need then a general core resume for those?
Okay,
or is your resume, for maintaining several versions?
Several versions. And let me mention now, I'm familiar with the National Job Fair and Training Expo, which is it's based in downtown Toronto. It's the largest job search of its kind in Canada, and you could go to that job fair's website, and they would say, here are the companies participating, that sort of thing. And then you could go to the website and see what positions they might be hiring for.
There's also been a couple of comments which I think you might have addressed about people have heard that 10 years of employment history might be the maximum, but one person had a major break for children, family,
No
all
problem.
those types of things. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, and especially too, 5.5 years ago, COVID changed the job landscape as we know it, and a lot of people decided they decided to pivot, change careers, that sort of thing, and stay-at-home moms. With stay-at-home moms, we might play up the volunteer aspect. For example, I was with Girl Guides of Canada, equivalent-ish to Girl Scouts in the US for 20 years. And if somebody was volunteering as a troop leader or other roles within that organization, you could play that up as well. So it shows that you've been keeping busy, that sort of thing.
Okay, and that I think I pretty much covered everything that's in the
I,
comments, Marion. So, oh,
I didn't put
Nita.
I didn't put a comment in the chat. My question is that I know one of the things when we're writing resumes, we're told about margins, top, bottom, sides. Also, we were told not to use colors, not to use white, because sometimes when people see white, they think you're also trying to get past the ATS.
Oh, yeah, keyword stuffing, yeah.
And that also we're supposed to keep it to a minimum font size, the smallest you can go. So what are your comments? Because your font, looking at it, your font looks okay, but I don't know whether or not it's due to being on a screen. But yeah, font, Marisha.
I can certainly enlarge my screen.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Is I can't tell by what type of font size if you're using 10, 9, 8, 14, 12. That's what I'm saying.
She's using 10, calibrate 10.
Oh wow! How can you? Oh wow!
Upper left.
Yeah,
it would I'm not sharp all the time.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Now,
I didn't even think to look there. Thank you.
Now, I'm using an older version of Microsoft Word, so just so you know. But realistically speaking, it depends on the font. If I was to have used Verdana, I could get away with 9 point because Verdana tends to be a very large font. But as far as margins, my margins here are 1/2 inch top, bottom, left, and right. So just letting you know. These days, we are encouraged to use a pop of color. So again, your resume stands out amongst the masses.
So, question here as a devil's advocate: is a hiring manager even looking at this resume, or are they looking at a scan that was brought into an automated system? In which case, you lose all the formatting. And potentially, are we even submitting Word resumes, or are they PDFs or whatever? In which case, there are no headers or footers per se. It's just one big document. It's the electronic world.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it would depend, because what I've done is, I have produced a resume that you could deliver in person, and it's also applicant tracking system compatible. So depending on the hiring decision maker, they might want to see the original resume as well. Any other questions?
There's a couple of other comments. Let's see here.
Oh, let me mention, I notice it's 10 to 11 right now. If I went to shade over, will that upset anything? Shade over 11 o'clock?
It wouldn't upset me. I don't know about other people's time, but
let's start on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Let's talk about LinkedIn.
Okay, let's do that. Give me just a second. I will stop. Oh, and I see Stephen Dorado I'm noticing your fur baby there, and my dog Oreo looks very similar to that, just so you know. Give me just a second here. Let me find my LinkedIn profile. Okay, and let me know when you can see my screen.
We
Yes.
can.
Okay, now right off the top, now this might sound a little bit counterintuitive. With resumes, we're told not to list your photo on there unless you're in the entertainment sector, that sort of thing. But LinkedIn profile, you are encouraged to have a head and shoulder shot. Now, disclaimer, I had that photo professionally taken. I had my hair done the day before, so my hair was definitely behaving. Let me also mention the banner that you see behind me. I don't know how to use Canva. This is the one project that I've used with Canva to pop in a banner, and it turned out not too badly, but in no way am I a Canva expert. So now I have here my name, my designations, the fact that I'm government verified, that sort of thing. And when I write somebody's LinkedIn profile, there is a lot of information that will cross over from the resume to the LinkedIn profile, but there are some differences. And my LinkedIn instructor refers to the LinkedIn profile as your resume on steroids. Now, one of the sections I write is the headline. And the headline is supposed to state, here are the kind of jobs I'd like to apply for, what positively sets me apart, keywords and key phrases I can sprinkle in, and the challenge is to do that in 220 characters or less, including spaces. So if somebody was looking for a resume writer, even though the words are separated, I'll still show up in searches. And easily 97% of recruiters, quote unquote, hang out on LinkedIn. One more time here, hang on. Okay, my screen is doing some funky things, I apologize. So you want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is as robust as you can have it, and that the information corresponds exactly from your resume to your LinkedIn profile, because if there are any inconsistencies, that can send somebody's candidacy to the no pile. And I say here, Canada's only while you wait resume writer, helping job seekers, so on and so on. And my headline cruises in at about 215 characters or so. Now, I intentionally set my location as Greater Toronto Area because the town of Aurora is part of the Greater Toronto Area. And the other reason I did that is for security reasons. The city of Toronto itself is about 6 million, and the surrounding regions, counties, take that population to about 10 million. I live in a town with about 65,000 people, which is a small town compared to Toronto. And I don't want somebody showing up at my door, do my resume, do it right now. So for security reasons, I have it as Greater Toronto Area. Let me move on if I may. The About section, this is not my summary moved over into the LinkedIn profile. Rather, the About section talks about my career journey, and I geared my message to my intended audience with the job seeker. And many job seekers find themselves unemployed, where they understandably worry about their future. Been there, done that. And I talk about having landed that intermediate level admin role with, at that time, Canada's largest chemical company. And in my 10th year there, I remember the day vividly. It was September 30th, 1985. And my boss approached me. He said, our division is merging with another division. Out of 70 people in our department, 35 of us are going to be pink slip marrying. You're one of them. I was blindsided because I had the best performance ranking out of every employee in the department. And I remember driving home and I'm thinking, I'll never work again. And even though I had this business at my resume writing practice as a side hustle, I thought now is the time to breathe some life into it. And I thought, okay, what skills cross over? And you'll notice I've used a few emojis and symbols, symbols that will make my message pop a bit more. And and you'll notice that the paragraphs are very short, very to the point. My business coach used to say that people on LinkedIn, they've got the attention span of fruit flies. So you want to make sure your information is very concise, very power packed, that sort of thing. So the paragraphs are short for a reason. I also include subheadings to make the job of the reader so that they can skim that much more quickly. So I talk about the fact the books that I've been published in, community activity, media appearances. I've done more than my share of radio guest spots, virtual and in-person presentations. I've been a resume evaluator on 6 separate occasions at Toronto's National Job Fair and Training Expo. Now, the next thing I'm going to share, a lot of times people will ask me, Marion, where do I list interests and activities on a resume? And I say, not so much on a resume anymore, but you can include them on your LinkedIn profile, provided you stay away from anything to do with politics, religion, sensitive personal matters, volatile subjects on both sides of the border. So I kept my interests very squeaky clean, that sort of thing. My specialties, LinkedIn loves it when you can pepper in keywords and key phrases. And the 3 main spots where you can do that, where you've got the room, would be the headline, the about section, which is supposed to be no more than 2,600 characters, and not, realistically speaking, because resume writing is a niche profession, I don't have too many. And my profile cruises in at about 2,590 characters. Let's see here. You can weave in top skills from the skills section, which we'll get to. Let's see here. It's straight off of my resume. And the reason I didn't mention, my Career Professionals of Canada volunteer experience on the resume is that I didn't want the resume to go over 2 pages. Education, and I have a more complete LinkedIn profile than most people, licenses and certifications. And if you can include a diploma, a certificate, a credential, definitely upload it. I have to renew my NCOPE designation every year. So you are seeing, my most recent would have been back in April of 2025. The other section that I write, and I find this one is optional, is volunteering. And in the 14 and a half years I've been writing LinkedIn profiles, maybe 5% of the people I'm privileged to assist can lay claim on volunteering. And again, you want to stay away from anything to do with politics, religion, sensitive personal matters. And you want to make sure that the titles that you affix can be understood by anybody. I joke around with Girl Guides, even though they are not for profit, they can corporate speak with the best of them. And you're going to know what troop leader means, but in Girl Guide speak, it was unit guider and then the troop that I was affiliated with. Cookie selling mastermind. I joke around. Some people said when you're putting your LinkedIn profile together, Mary, you should call yourself Cookie Pusher. But in Girl Guide speak, the title is Product Marketing Coordinator. I know what these titles mean, but somebody outside of Girl Guides or Girl Scouts wouldn't have a clue. And I share a little bit of a story here. Different skills, you are allowed a maximum of 100 skills. If you have more than 100 skills, I know of a very legal hack that you can incorporate those extra skills in. Recommendations, this is where your LinkedIn profile shines. And if you can get more than 3 recommendations, you're gravy. I've got 10 in total. Different courses I've taken, honors and awards, test scores. And again, I have a more complete LinkedIn profile than most professional organizations I belong to. And if I was Empress of LinkedIn, I would change this title. I would probably want to go with top voices, companies, groups, and newsletters. And let's do that one more time. Okay, it's there we go. It's not going to behave. And come on, today would be nice. There we go. My internet connection is doing funky things. And any questions on the LinkedIn side of things?
Don't see anything in the chat about that, but somebody did mention going back to including dates
Mhm.
versus not including dates. If I want to exclude dates on my experience section, is this possible? Which, of course, anything's possible, but I guess that, I
Would
mean,
it, would it, would it be
it's
favorable?
recommended, right? To try and exclude some dates.
What I would probably do in a situation like that, and by the way, I typically go year to year as opposed to month year. And the reason I do that is to minimize any gaps. If we're talking more than 10, more than 15, more than 20 years, rather than say 1985 to 1994, hypothetically, I might want to say 9 years instead, that sort of thing.
Okay.
I will point out it is rare for me to do that, but realistically speaking, I do ideally want to go back no further, depending on what each job seeker presents with, no further than 10, 15, 20 years.
Okay, thank you. And I don't see, I mean, another person talked a little bit about transitioning from, different roles and that type of thing. And actually, they didn't have a question about it, but it was like,
Can I share
how
what?
do you
Well,
indicate
okay,
that?
so I actually am going to speak up about that. I'm
Oh, okay. Thanks,
transitioning,
Karen.
yeah, after about 10 or 15 years in the with business roles and project management roles from digital healthcare to patient navigation, and I need to highlight skills and experience from my public health education days and my American Cancer Society breast cancer survivor support, which runs before 20 years ago. So,
Okay, well, I would probably on the LinkedIn profile, I would turn that into a story in terms.
okay.
So just letting you know, and kudos for supporting the Cancer Society. Just so you know, a week ago yesterday, I was involved in a runathon, a walkathon. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Terry Fox. If you were to Google Terry Fox, he masterminded the Marathon of Hope run. He wanted to run right across Canada, and he was I think he was 20, 21 years old at the time. This was back. Oh no, hang on. Let me think. He was he was born in 1958, and his mission was to run across Canada to raise funds for cancer. He only made it halfway across Canada, and sad to say, he died about 9 months later. But the Terry Fox run has so far risen nearly $1 billion Canadian for cancer research. So kudos to you. So just letting you know. But I probably want to play that up more on the LinkedIn profile, because to me, that's a story. So just letting you know.
Okay, thank you.
And as far as transferring skills, can I share a secret that I do? We'll say yes. Okay. Now, admittedly, now a lot of people think that you can use Chat GPT to write a resume. Don't do it, because because chances are what Chat GPT generates for you, it might sound great, but there's going to be a lot of I'm looking for the right word here. There's going to be a lot of unclarity. I'm making up a word here. I had one instance where somebody sent their resume to me, and I had said, "What does this mean?" They said, "Well, Chat GPT generated it for me." And I said, "Well, I need to understand it, and if I can understand it, then you're halfway home." So we reworded it without the flowery language. But a lot of times I will go to Chat GPT and I will say, I'm a resume writer, and I'm writing a resume for a, career A who wants to transition into career B. What skills cross over, and what are the benefits associated with that? And play that up more in the summary. And if you were to copy and paste, you don't want to copy and paste directly from Chat GPT, because there's some behind the scenes formatting, and an AI detector will pick that up immediately. Any other questions?
Cindy's on mute.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. So someone had mentioned not to use white for a resume. Were they referring to white paper?
Oh, no, they're referring to white print because
Oh,
back in the 2000s, this became apparent that when somebody was responding to a posting, what they would do is they take that posting, copy and paste, here's what you would be responsible for, and then put it in the resume, but they would put it in white print so it wasn't apparent to the naked eye, but the applicant tracking system picked that up immediately.
I've never heard of that. Okay, interesting. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
I have a question. You said something that really, if I heard you correctly, do not put your name and stuff in a header
Correct.
or a footer.
Right.
So I pulled up my resume just to see, and I know my top name is not in my first name is not showing in a header. It's actually on the resume. But on the second page, the name, the page 2, and the email address is in the header.
Mhm.
Is that okay, or should we not have it there either?
And I'm picking up the New England accent loud and clear, by the way. That's okay. And I'm sure you picked up my accent, out and about in house, right? So, but if your information appears on page 1, name, city, state, phone number, email address, if that's not in a header, you're good to go on page 1.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Can you repeat that again, Marion? I'm sorry, I missed part of it.
Oh, no worries. Now, if your information is on page 1, your contact information, name, city, state, zip code, phone number, email address, if that's not part of the header, but on subsequent pages that information is in the header, you are fine. You are good to go. Oh, let me mention too, a lot of times with regard to the resume, people will say to me, well, I'll just acquire a template from Canva or Etsy and pop my information there. And you would have to make sure with regard to Canva, they will say ATS compatible. If they're not, don't even consider it. And I'm trying to get my dog to come over here, and he's making a liar out of me because normally he wants to there we go. Here we go. Come on up.
You're supposed to keep a jar of treats on your
Your
working desk.
I wouldn't be able to get any work done.
Well, no, if they're in a jar, they can't smell them. So it's when you open it up. So, but the other thing about resumes, and I know because I was in labeling and we have certain fonts that are recommended and size that the font can't be below. What now with all the times changing, what are acceptable font styles and size?
Okay, well, I typically, and is it okay with everybody if I stop sharing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Typically for the body, I use Calibri or however you pronounce it, and I aim for 11 point. If I have to do cosmetic surgery, I might take it down to 10.5 or 10. As far as the headings go, typically what I do, and this is just me, I will, if I'm writing a resume for a gentleman, I'll sometimes use a sans serif font. In other words, fonts with no feet, where it might be Tahoma or it might be Arial, that sort of thing. And the name is always 15 point. And then the headlines are 12.5 points. So that's how I do it. For ladies, I use a serif with feet font. And I will use Book Antigua or Garamond or Palatino, that sort of thing. Palatino linotype or linotype, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I will, Calibri is, I go with Calibri for the body because it's extremely easy to read. Normally I have to wear glasses, and if I'm working with Calibri, I don't necessarily have to wear my glasses. So hopefully I've answered your question.
No, you just made me have another one. Why do you differentiate between men and female?
My brain is wired that way, realistically.
And so basically the headers and the title and would also be a 15 and a 12 point.
Just the name is 15 point, and then the title would be, like professional experience, education, professional memberships. Those are 12 and a half point.
12 and a half. Okay.
And then what I also do is I will use the small caps feature for the professional experience, the education, and the professional memberships. It just dresses it up a bit. I'll put
Interesting. Somebody put in the chat about combining 3 LinkedIn profiles.
Oh, that's right too. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure. Not really sure what's going on there, Kathleen.
No. I remember from another session. Unfortunately, she couldn't access one, so she created another one, and then she couldn't. She got kicked out of or something like that. So she has 3 LinkedIn profiles, and she's trying to recoup access so not to lose data from. So, if I recall correctly, I forgot that.
Okay.
I'm looking at the chat.
I actually, if you have any suggestions, I have been trying to do this for months, and LinkedIn has been so unhelpful with those 3 profiles. And I collectively have way over 500 contacts, but I cannot access my prior work profile. And I joined LinkedIn in like the Wild West, the very early days. So I had a work profile and a personal profile, and then somehow a third one got created. And I'm trying to merge them all. So I have, hundreds of contacts all in one place and all the information. So if you have any suggestions, I would welcome that, because LinkedIn has been so unhelpful. They send me instructions how to do things that are not even related to what I'm trying to do. So sorry, I just wanted to clarify that really wasn't a question initially. I was just
I can sympathize. I can sympathize because I had my LinkedIn profile hacked about 10, 15 years ago. And long story short, LinkedIn, they took their sweet time. My then instructor, I'll share the story here. My then instructor is based in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I contacted him. He was just about to undergo gallbladder surgery, but he answered my question for me and the problem was solved. But that's, we're talking 15 years ago, realistically. But what you're expressing about LinkedIn is not unusual as far as support is concerned. Sad to say. And my
because
current LinkedIn instructor will tell you the same thing.
Yeah, just make sure that when you use it in your when you use that link, that you're using the correct link in your resume and in your communication with with potential employers and that type of thing. I know LinkedIn made one for me, an alternative one, and it's like, nope, that's not what I want to be connected as. So, but yet it still hangs in out there somehow. So, but anyway, were there any other questions or comments? I mean,
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Eric.
No, go ahead, Cindy.
Sure. So, are there, because I think my resume might be a little bit off with regard to the font sizes and things for my headers. I think my body's okay, but is there a place I can go to look up general guidelines for that?
Let me think.
There,
I've never been posed that question before because it's instinctive to me. So,
yeah, no, I've worked with a couple of coaches, and it's interesting because, like, for instance, my font for my name and my header is much larger than what you're proposing. I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but it's making me want to go back and look at it.
It's almost like when when you're looking, instead of using, what is it, Wikipedia, for things oh, if you want the real truth, you have to go here. So it would be like, is there a recommendation when someone is looking to create a resume that you say the best resource I've ever found online is blah?
oh boy.
Right. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you.
I'm wondering, I'm just thinking in terms of some of the resume writing organizations I belong to. Give me just a second here. I'm wondering if any of them might have any blogs. I've just typed in the link to the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. Give me just a second here, because what I need to do, because I just know these sites instinctively, so I'm just going to have you bear with me. Okay. Give me just a second here. I'm going to just type in the next one. And come on, today would be nice. There we go. And I'm having a senior moment. Okay, I believe that's the next one there. That is the website for Career Directors International. And now I'm giving you the 3 American resume writing associations I belong to. I do belong to a Canadian one, and I also belong to an association for resume writers only. So
can you put them in the chat? Is that possible?
Already done.
It is there.
Yeah,
You
already
did.
done.
I didn't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Click on the main chat at the top of your on the chat folder.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
click on
I
everyone
was
and
out of
then-
it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And don't forget, you can download the chat by using those 3 dots that should be right
Oh,
below
yes.
the X on your chat window there. So
Oh,
yeah, one thing that I have found in going through these presentations, particularly about resumes, is that there will be 100 resume experts, and you will get 100 different responses from resume experts about how you should format your resume, what you should put in it, what fonts you should use, what margins you should use, and that type of
Is there
thing.
anything they do agree on?
well, if I can just comment there, you want to make sure they're bona fide resume writers. You don't want to pick up, you don't want to locate a resume writer on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. And if you give me just a few seconds here, I can, if you decided to go the professional resume writing approach, I can tell you what you want to look for. And here's where the glasses come on. So just letting you know. Does the Resume Services website have an about or a qualification page that contains the names and expertise of their writers? Mine does, but if you encounter one that doesn't, run the other way. Let's see, is the resume writer certified? Some say they're certified when they're actually not. And if you go to the resume writing associations that I popped in the chat, go to their member directories. If they're not in the member directory, they are not certified. And if they're willing to lie about their qualifications in order to transact business from you, I'm going to be somewhat blunt with my language. You can only imagine how they're going to butcher what you present to them. How many years has the business been in practice? 40 years and counting. And I hit the birthday with a 0 in about 2.5 months or so, and I am not retiring. So just letting you know. Let's see, do they belong to any of the career organizations I've mentioned? Do they keep their knowledge up to date by attending industry conferences, so on and so on? I could make a full-time job out of doing that realistically. Will they provide samples of their work? And you want to make sure it's their own samples, because some of the imposters out there will lift samples and say they're theirs.
Oh, good grief.
Has their work been published in any resume writing collections? Yes. Have they been nominated for and/or won awards within their industries? Through Career Professionals of Canada, I've won 2 awards plus lots of honorable mentions, and I'm waiting for they're supposed to announce their next lot in the next, by the end of the month or so. Have they been featured in the media? Yep. Excuse me. I have been on, let me see, I've been featured in Canada. The Rogers Media Group covers every province, every major city, and I've done radio interviews for Rogers. Does their website contain a phone number you can contact? Not a toll-free number, but a direct dial local number, and mine does. I used to have a US toll-free number, but I discontinued it because I had more than my fair share of telemarketers contact me on that phone number.
Yeah.
So I took out the US toll-free number. So just, sad to say. Any other questions?
Well, just
Thank
another
you,
person.
Marianne.
Yeah, put in the chat here. The best thing would be for the job poster to include their formatting preferences and ATS filtering practices, which in the ideal world, wouldn't that be wonderful? I don't think that you're going to see that though.
I do have a question. You mentioned that you use caps.
Small caps, yes.
Small cap. So
For the
when you
heading,
use
yes.
for the headings, so you
Yeah.
use small caps. So do you use, so you would not capitalize the first word? You would just use small caps for the whole.
Let me pull up my resume so you
I
can
wasn't looking at that. So yes, that's what's trying to jog my mind, my brain around.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. You know what? I didn't do it on my resume, but you'll see me do it in real time. Hang on. Let me just share my screen here. And excuse me. Let me find where I'm sharing. And you're actually going to see me revise my resume in real time. So just letting you know. And I'm just waiting for your screen sharing screen to disappear.
I
And
see your screen, so.
And I'm not too shabby on the screen, as you can, on the keyboard, as you can see. Give me just a second here, because okay, that's working. Okay, give me just a second here. What I'm doing, I'm just increasing the font size to 12.5, and I just need to move a few sorry about that. Okay, come on, today would be nice. I'm just trying, there's something here on my screen. There we go. Okay, give me just a second here. Come on, today would be nice. Grr. Oh, gotta love technology. So I have here, what I've done is font, and I'm using an older version of Word, by the way. And now you can see,
Okay.
you can see what I mean. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I was just wondering if you meant that the whole thing was the small cap, or you leave the thing at first. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what I've done is I'll type it, uppercase, then lowercase, and then select it, and then use the small caps option.
And then there's a question in the comments. It said, "Did you hear that not to use Times
Times New Roman is so antiquated, So,
Yeah.
it's like it's like how can I describe it? And I hope I don't insult anybody here, but it's like having an AOL email address. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess I get to go and reformat my fonts and my sizes.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
You
I
gave
mean,
us homework,
you have
Marianne.
to-
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Actually, somebody said in the chat that Calibri is so 2023. Aptos is in.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and I've
I
seen
have that. Hang on, just a moment.
Aptos is like.
I don't have. Oh, probably on a more recent version of Microsoft.
Yeah,
You've got
yeah.
Yep.
Transparency moment. I'm surrendering my computer in the next few weeks. I have to upgrade it from Windows 10 to Windows 11. So
Mm.
my IT guy is probably going to do that for me.
So it's funny though. I have to share the story. Is you mentioned WordPerfect. My first my first introduction. The course was called Introduction to Microcomputer Applications. I think it was,
Uh-huh.
and I learned on WordPerfect in Lotus 1-2-3.
Oh,
Yes, I learned on WordPerfect too. Yeah, yeah. I had to switch
I
over to
learned-
Word. Yeah,
I
yeah. So.
originally learned.
Me too.
Well, I originally learned on a standalone digital equipment word processor. And then when I launched my business, I had PC Write. And then I think in 89, 88, I graduated over to WordPerfect.
Well, that's where
Yep.
88 was when I was in college, and that was my first microcomputer applications course.
Ah, I'll share. I was in my early 30s in 88. So,
Well, okay, Marion. Thank you so much for being here today. And like I say, it's always entertaining to have you here. And you're like I said, and the other thing that I would say, folks, is yep, you're going to hear a whole lot of different opinions about how you should format your resume. I mean, Marion is available. Her website again is resumeexpert.ca. And Marion, it's always great to have you on, and I'll have
pleasure's
to email
mine.
you another trivia question. And
Oh, yeah, we were, because, I mean, I was raised on American Top 40 music, but I know my fair share of Canadian as well. And totally separate and apart. When I originally signed on, it was thundering, and the sun has come out now.